This conference will now be recorded.
So, hello everyone, welcome to today's session. So, today we will be covering some of the basic things of VBA coding. So, regarding VBA, let me tell you, I'm not a big expert on VBA and I have worked on only a couple of projects in VBA. So, not a big expert, not someone who would be a better person to teach VBA, but still I can share my experience on VBA and how I managed to get things done. I have worked on a few of the projects where VBA automation helped me to get my things done in much lesser time, and how to work with the code. Those things I can tell you. How I managed to get things done, how was my experience, I can share that. So this entire session will be around those case studies that I have done in my project, and I will be sharing that how I managed to get it done. So let us get started. So for VBA, if you all know, regarding normal Excel and the macro enabled Excel, there is a bit of difference. So we need to save our Excel file accordingly so that we can, uh, utilize the macros. So for that, there are some simple steps. So in the file, you need to go to the options and then go to customize ribbon, and from here select the developers tab. So this developers tab will help you to write code or save them, and it will actually enable the developers tab here on the uh, top. Okay, so here now I have my developers tab. Now I can use macros and I can write that, or I can even record a macro. So there are a few basic things. If you want to work on a or if you know the code, then you can write down the code. Apart from that, if you have a certain number of steps which needs to be repeated and they are same under all the circumstances, then you can use the record macro option. So this record macro option is quite a nice method to actually record all the things that you have done so far, and it will be reflected, or it will be reflected in the code, stored in the code, and then you just need to run that again, over and over again. So that is what a record macro does. And otherwise, if you are good, if you're confident about your coding techniques, then you can use macros, using which you can write the code. So record macro, if I go, so what will be the name of the macro? How would I like to call it? And where it will be stored, this workbook, right? What would be the description? So let's say uh, I name it recorded macro. Okay, I need to have underscore here. There is a naming convention. I need to have underscore. So yeah, so see, now it has started recording. It shows that it is recording, and if I need to pause it or stop it, then I will used to need to stop it like this. So let us do something. Let us write something and let's see how it gets recorded in the macro. So let's say I have written here Sunday, and then I have extended it like this. Okay. Or let's say, let me do one more exercise. Let me write it here, random between 1 to 100, and let me then drag it to a certain range, and let's see what happens. It has been dragged till here. It has been dragged now. Yeah. Now Control C, Control Alt V, paste as values. My job is done. Now Control Home, and let's see what has been recorded. Stop recording, and let's see what are the macros that I have. So recorded macro, edit. So let us go to edit and see what has been recorded. So if you see in the macro, what I have done that, so it has mentioned that recorded macro, the name, like, and this is actually used for commenting uh, this part. So active cell. So first of all, when I open this sheet, so my A1 was most active cell. So here itself I have written the Sunday, and it has seen that row 1 column 1 equal to Sunday, and then I have selected that, and then auto-filled. So selection auto-fill destination. So it has provided me a range, that within the range of A1 to A14. So A1 to A14, it has filled by default. So this formula has been extended till A14. Now after it has been filled, now if you remember, once I have dragged it, so entire range was under selection. So here it is showing that it is under selection. Then I have selected C2, which was this, and then I have dragged this formula. So C2 select, then active cell formula random between this was fine, and then it was selected, then autofill within this range C2 to J2, and then till J14. And then, so I think there is a repetition. Let me do one thing. Let me omit out this step. See, because what I have done is, first of all, this was reflected only for C2 to J2. That means this entire row. And then I have dragged it down. So what I can do is, instead of J2, what I can mention here is till J14 here itself. So let's see. Now if I remove everything and then execute the code again, let's see what will happen. Now what I will do, instead of J2, let me write it down J14. Here also, let me write it down J14. Selection dot copy, and I copied that entire range, and selection paste special as values. Paste as values. Another thing, cut copy mode is equal to false, and then I have again moved back to A1, which is my control home. So this was the entire exercise that I have done. So let me save it again and try to execute this. No, yeah, I need to save this, otherwise it won't work. Macro enabled workbook. So if any workbook contains macro, then it has to be saved as macro enabled workbook. So macro enabled workbook, and I need, I'll save it in the desktop. So macro Excel.
Sorry for interruption. Can we save it as like CSV?
No, that cannot be sent. Then macro won't work.
Okay.
Okay. So this part is, okay. So this thing is done. So now let me do one thing. Let me clear everything. I've cleared everything. Now let me run this macro again. So whatever I've done, it needs to be repeated. So record macro. Let me run it again and let's see what happens. Autofill range class failed because there is an issue. Let me see what is an issue. So if there is an issue, go to debug mode and you will find out what has went wrong. So I think I have, yeah, this, it hasn't been able to pick it. Anyway, so let me do it accordingly. So previously I think it was C2 and C2 and J2. Let's see if it works now. Well, it worked fine. It has reflected all up here. So yeah, uh, and so that was a step that didn't work for me. I was expecting that it will pick the entire range, but anyway, so what happened is it has extended only along the rows or only along the columns. So I think at a time it will work only in one direction, either along with the row or along with the column it will go. Let's say if I need to change it, let's say if I change it like this till C14, and here also C14, and then if I extend it to uh, till my J14, let's see what happens. J14, saved, done. Let me clear everything. All the macros I have, this run, got it. Yeah, but now this Sunday has come here. I don't know what is the reason. So this is reflected quite fine. This is as expected, but why this Sunday is here? Let us now try to debug it. So for debugging, there is an option available. What I do is I go to edit, and what I do using F5, each and every step will be executed. So if you see, I put a break mark here. So as soon as the code comes here, it will break and it will stop there. And after step by step, it will move forward. So if I do F8, yeah, let me run this. So it has moved to this line, active cell. Now so what will be the next step? Let's see. Mm, It has executed the entire code. I'm sorry. So it was actually F8 that I needed to press, not this. Yeah. Put a break mark here. F8. One step ahead. Now this. Again F8. To next step. It has extended it to A14. Again let me press F8. Range select C2. So it will go to C2. And again F8. C2. Yeah, C2 it is there. Now it will fill it with the formula random between. F8 again. It has filled it with the formula. Now C2 select. So it will just be a selection. So I'm skipping that. Now entire selection fill with this C14. So yeah, it has filled it with this formula, same formula as expected. Now I move to a step ahead, then till J14 it has to do selection, and then till J14. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, till J14 it has done that. And selection dot copy. So entire range that needs to be copied. Entire range it has selected, and now it will copy and paste as this. So it has pasted it as values, and now go back to A1. So now it has moved back to A1 and code ends. So this is how it goes. So for F8, if you are pressing F8, so let me mention it out here. So F5 to run the entire code, and F8 to run it stepwise. So these are the basic things which actually help you to debug the code, understand that if there is a issue at certain stage, then after reaching to that point, how can you rectify that? So yeah, this is one of the key things that you can work with, or if you are a beginner in Excel VBA, then these are the things which helps you to somehow manage in Excel VBA and get your job done. So this is how I managed to get things done earlier in VBA. So this was about a basic introduction to VBA and how you can work with it. So let me pick up some of the case study which I was talking about in earlier part of my session, and let me start showing you that how I did that. So close this, and I am closing this as well. I'm not saving this. So here I have a case study. So see, whenever I opened this Excel, it has shown me good morning Ankit. So this was the case study that I was asked to do, that whenever I open this Excel, it should show an exclamation. It should show a pop-up saying that good morning to the user. So my username is Ankit here in this laptop that I am using. So it will show Ankit. In case if someone has its own username, let's say Ashutosh, so it should be showing good morning Ashutosh. And similarly for any other user. So this was the thing I was asked to do. This was one. Apart from that, I was asked to create a user form. So that user form will take the inputs from the user and will give a pop-up message, and it will also give me a error message if I put something incorrect. For let's say in case of name I'm putting a number which is not expected, then it will show me a flag. It will show me error message saying that this is something which is not acceptable and you need to fill only alphabets. Numeric won't be allowed in name. Similarly for phone number also, I've put a certain regex for phone number that if you are entering only a number, then it will be acceptable, otherwise it will not. So need to have a certain bit of things that will help me to manage. So this was one. How I managed to do this, I will show you the code and how we can how it works. So this was one. Another is user form. So let me fill up this user form and tell you that what is all done. So let's say my name is Ankit Shaw. Phone number, let's say if I put it 10 10 10 10 10. So this is, and for date of birth, I was asked that it should be in a certain format. I cannot give any other format, and I need to pick it from the calendar. So in this form, I have added a calendar, and using this calendar, I need to provide the input. So whatever I select here, it should be populated in the date of birth text box. So let me select some random date for my date of birth. So here I have selected and it has come in the format of MMDDYYY. So this was the format I was asked to do. So even for that, I have translated into that format using one of the functions. So I will also show you the code that how it has done. So again, a radio button, I have to either select male or female. I cannot select both of them. Occupation, there is a drop down, and among this drop down, I have 4 options. So let's say service, and among the hobbies, so these are the checklist type hobbies, and among these 4 I can select any number. So let me select all of them. So now if I submit this, I will get a pop-up message saying that what are my details. So username is Ankit, phone number is this, date of birth is this, gender is male, occupation is service, and hobbies are so and so: cricket, video game, music, and swimming. So these are all the things that are populated. So now what if I enter something incorrect? What if I mention something which is not acceptable? Let's say in case of Ankit, I have also mentioned 01 here. So will it accept it? Ideally, it shouldn't, because this is not a name. So it has mentioned that not a valid name should be alphabetical only. So for this, I have used a regex. Similarly, if I do something for phone number, let's say num, if I mention it here, so not a valid name, it should be alphabetical. So actually the same, sorry, it goes to first regex text in this. So let me rectify this. So now if it will check. So not a valid phone number, should be numeric only. So actually what it does, it checks starting from the first. So it has got an error in the first one. So it has reflected the first message. So now there is no error in the first one. So it has gone to the second. And because there is an error in the second one, it has shown me not a valid phone number. Should be numeric only and 10 digits only. Right. Here I don't have any other option to fill it myself. I have to do it using the calendar. So this is done. And now these are the options that I have. So here there are only options. I need to pick it from these. I don't have any other options to choose from myself. Yeah, so this was it. So let me show you how I did it and how it was done. So what was the code? So Alt F11 will help me to get to the code. So always remember, this is the shortcut to go to the macro of that Excel. So within this workbook, I have written this code. So see, there is a macro called workbook open. Workbook open, what it does, it whenever you open that workbook, that macro will be generated, or that macro will be invoked. So you don't need to run a macro or press a button to get that done. As soon as it opens, it will start doing that. So this is a inbuilt kind of function, and within that you can write everything that you want according to your or your requirement or your business need. So let me tell you what I have done. So if you are familiar with any other programming language, so whatever, so first what we do is we declare that what is the kind of variable and how we would like to treat it. So will it be a string? Will it be a integer? Will it be double? So same thing. So greet, I have taken it as string. So what will be the greeting that I will be getting as the initial pop-up? So greet as string, then username, that will be captured, that will be string. So application dot username, I have captured that is in the username. So what it is actually, so if you see here, my name Ankit is mentioned. So this is actually my username, right? So this is what it is capturing. So for example, if I had my full name Ankit Shaw, then it would have captured the entire name. So this is if username equal to Windows user. So for example, what happens is, if I do not mention anything here, Ankit, or it is not mentioned, so it will say that you are a Windows user. So you all must be using Windows. So you all must be knowing that once you don't have a name here, it shows a Windows user. So what I did is, if it is Windows user, it is showing like this. Then I say it that change it to Vidu. So this was one thing that I did, just manual thing. In case if you have any if you think that there is a similar manipulation that you can do for your code, you can do that. So there I thought that this would be more appropriate to suit my business need. So this is how this if condition ends. And now what I need is, my greeting should be proper. So before 12, I should be saying good morning. After 12, good afternoon. After a certain point, good evening. So that should how my uh, greeting should be. So what I have done here is, I have extracted hour from now. So now what it does, it tells you current time, date and time. So from now I can extract my date, I can extract my time. What I have done, I have extracted the hour, an hour in 24-hour format. So I have extracted that, and if it is less than 12, then the greeting will be good morning. If it is equal to 12, then good noon. If it is uh, greater than 12 and less than 15, so before 12 and 3, so good afternoon, otherwise good evening, and this is how it ends. So in the final message box that I have provided, so message box will give a pop-up. Message box greeting plus username. So greet good morning, good noon, good afternoon, or good evening with the username. So that will be this Vidhu or the username Ankit with an exclamation mark at the end, and VB exclamation. So what does VB exclamation means is so for a pop-up message there are many options available. VB exclamation means it will only give me an option to say to click OK, not anything else. There is another thing called prompt. So VB prompt. What VB prompt does is it uh, there I need to provide an input. In for VB input also does the same thing. So these are the different things. So here I only need to have an exclamation. So this is how this code I have written. So now if I check around 12, it will show me different result. So anyway, and this is a very simple code. So this was about it. Now let me go to the user form. So this was my user form that I have created. So user form can be created quite easily. So there are options available. You just need to put the dimension, put the text box, put all the things that you need, and accordingly you can code at the back end. So how the coding part is done, let me show you the code. So here I can go and view code. So view code. So first of all, I have mentioned some of the functions that I will be requiring. The major uh, event that happening in the user form is that when I click the submit button, so submit click. So there is a sub that I have created that on the click of that submit, what is going to happen? So here some of the functions, so let me call it out how it works. So is a valid name. So as you can understand that first thing that I need to mention a valid name. So it will see that whether I have provided a valid name or not. So here I have provided a regex expression for that, and the pattern should be a small a to small z and capital A to capital Z. So anything which is in alphabetical range, I have picked that. Apart from that, anything is not acceptable. So this is one, and then I have for string valid phone number. Is it a valid phone number or not? So again, so in this function, if you can see, it returns a boolean. So it is actually a true or false. So again here, regex pattern should be only numeric from 0 to 9, and the number of numerics should be only 10. It cannot be less than that. It cannot be more than that. Exactly, it has to be 10. Now this is for the calendar, which I told you that it picks the date and converts it into a certain format. So uh, after it has been clicked, so date clicked, here is the date clicked. So once I have selected in the calendar, it will pick that and then it will convert it into this mmddyyyyy format and then end. So this was about the calendar, and then I have my submit. On submit, what is going to happen? So name, phone number, DOB, occupation, gender, hobbies. So these are a string. So name is directly extracted from text name value. So first, if you remember the first thing, the text box was about my name. Uh, so is a valid name? Is it going that it will check in that function using that function, and it will return a boolean either true or false. So if true, then nothing needs to be done, else not a valid name. So if it is true, then usually we don't get anything. So that is the reason. So after this, if there is no issue, then go to last, and if same thing for phone number. Occupation, it will pick it from the occupation value that is there. Male value equal to. So hobbies, initially it is none. After that, once I start adding one of them, it will keep adding with each other. So if you see, if I have selected the swimming value equal to true, then swimming will be assigned to hobbies. Now again, if I add something apart from that, then hobbies plus the existing one. So it will keep adding to itself. So again, if there is a more selection, then keep adding to it. And then I have a string of entire hobbies listed in a single string. And towards the end, I have a message box saying that these are the things that I need to have username. And if you see, once there is an error, so on error it go to last. So on error, don't need to print anything, no need to give any message box, just go to last and end the sub. So there is the last. So this is how I have created this, and this is my uh, user form initialize. So the initial thing that will be there in the user form, so all my text should be empty, everything should be empty. uh, Occupation, I should be having these all drop downs, so I have mentioned this. And for checkboxes, uncheck all the data boxes, this. So this was one of the again case studies which I did. So for regex, I need to I went through some of the a lot of search on Google, after which I was able to understand that what would be the correct or most apt regex for these circumstances. So hope I am able to make sense, and I'm clear that what was my approach and how I managed to get it done. So this was one of the case study. Next is another case study from email automation. So in this email automation, what I did is I actually created a template in Excel, and within that Excel there was a macro which used those information within those template and used to send the mail. So options were simple. So first of all, let me tell you how I managed to do it. So this was my entire template. This was my column A, B, C, D, and so on. And here was the name of the report that I need to send, email address to whom all I should be sending, CC, who all will be in CC, who all will what will be the mail body, what will be the subject, and what will be the attachment. So here I need to provide the attachment, the path of the attachment. So this is how my path should look like. So first I have created this template. Now according to this template, I will create a VBA code which will use the information provided here and send the email. So here is the code that I have written. Out, Outlook app. So using Outlook through VBA, for that you will need this Outlook app, and Outlook mail also is required. Email range is one thing that, because what could happen is this range could start from the first row and go till very down, and I don't know what will be the last thing that has been, or the last row where my relevant details are. So I need to select a range, and Excel can use it very dynamically. So what I did is, till the point it is finding any blank, it will keep moving downwards, and once it finds a blank, it will stop. So in this way, I've ensured that I pick all the reports and I compose the mail for all of them. So let me just go to the logic part. So these are the just declarations. So I won't waste much of the time here. So this is the main logic that I think will be most relevant. So worksheet, sheet one, where I have stored all the information, or which actually has my template. So cell, rows count, Excel up dot row. So this is a bit difficult to explain like this if you're not familiar. So let me open an Excel and then let me show it to you how it works. So what it does it. So let's say here I've mentioned Ankit. So what it will do, it will, first of all it will go down and then Excel. So Excel up, what it does it, control and up arrow. So it has found that it has gone to Ankit. So from the last row of the Excel up does this. So the cell which contains, or the immediate cell after that which contains any information, it will move to that cell. So this is what I'm doing here. It moves to Excel up. So Excel up moves up and reaches a point where there is a information in a cell, and dot row means it is taking the row number. That means here it is 9, so it will be showing 9. So starting from 1 to 9, from 2 to 9 actually. So this entire thing is 1. From 2 to 9, that loop will continue and it will pick all the rows one by one and start composing the mail. So to CC email range that I have mentioned, so I, now it will take all the values from one of the cells, start composing it, and it will send. So yeah, this was the uh, thing that I did using uh, Excel VBA email automation. So just need to fill out the template, place the attachment in the right path, and ready to go. So this was from my side for today. Uh, if you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, we are good to close.
No question, Ankit.
Okay. Okay then. Thanks all for joining in. Hope it was a bit
Yeah, thank you, Ankit. Thank you so much.
informative for all of you, and I hope you
Yeah,
all have must have learned something from today's session. So thanks for joining in. Thanks
yeah,
for
yeah.
being such a good participant. See you. Bye.
Yeah, bye, Ankit.